Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today or for listening on this recording. My name is Diana Robinson. I'm with the UAS Integration Office at the FAA. Joining me today is Alicia Joins, and she is with the FAA's Grant Division. The Aviation Workforce Grants is opening up again, and she's going to share a little about that and also kind of guide you through the application process. So with that, Alicia, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Diana, and greetings, everyone. Again, my name is Alicia Joins, and I am the program analyst for the Aviation Workforce Development Program, and I'm so excited to share with you today our Notice of Funding opportunity for Round 4 will be opening today. I know the side says it's arriving soon, and that's because by the end of today, you will be able to go to grants.gov and directly apply for the Aviation Workforce Development Program grants. And so I want to take a little bit of time to share with you not only about the opportunities, but how you can best proceed through the process. So the FAA is investing in the future of the aviation workforce by providing grants to the aviation community to help prepare for a more inclusive talent pool of pilots and aviation maintenance technicians. We're trying to inspire and recruit the next generation of aviation professionals. So there are two programs that consist of the aviation workforce development. The first is the Aircraft Pilots Program, and the second is the Aviation Maintenance Technical Workers Program. We are authorized by the 625 section of the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024, which originally started with the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018. In this, the Secretary of Transportation was able to start grant programs that help support the education and recruitment of aircraft pilots and maintenance technical workers. The goal of the pilots program is to support the recruitment of pilots or unmanned aircraft systems operators through education, research, recruitment, and military career transition. In order to apply for the pilots program, you must first be an air carrier, an entity that holds management specifications under Subpart K of Title 91, an accredited institution of higher education, a post-secondary vocational institution, or a high school or secondary school, a flight school that provides flight training, as such term defined in Part 61, or holds a pilot school certificate under Part 141, a labor organization representing professional aircraft pilots, an aviation-related nonprofit described in Section 501c3 of the IRS Code, or a state, local, territorial, or tribal government entity. Any of these eligible applicants are able to provide projects that create or deliver program or curriculum that provides high school or secondary school students of higher education with meaningful aviation education, or establish or improves registered apprenticeships, internships, or scholarship programs, creates or delivers curriculum that provides certified flight instructors with the necessary instructional leadership and communication skills to better educate student pilots, to support the transition to professional aircraft pilot or unmanned system operator careers, and that also includes members and veterans of the armed forces, to support a robust outreach plan about careers in commercial aviation, such as professional aircraft pilot or unmanned system operator, or to otherwise enhance or expand the aircraft pilot or unmanned aircraft system operator workforce. In short, our goal is to get pilots in the cockpit. So our second program that we're going to go over is the maintenance program. The goal of this program is to provide grants that support the education and recruitment of aviation maintenance technical workers and the development of the aviation maintenance workforce. And this program, the eligible applicants are a holder of a certificate under Part 21, 121, 135, 145, or 147, a labor organization representing aviation maintenance workers, an accredited institution of higher education, a post-secondary vocational institution, or high school or secondary school, an aviation-related nonprofit, again, as described in Part 501c3, or a state, local, territorial, or tribal government entity. These eligible applicants are able to provide projects that create or deliver a program or curriculum that, again, provides high school and secondary school students of higher education with meaningful aviation maintenance education to establish or improve registered apprenticeships, internships, or scholarship programs, to support the transition to aviation maintenance careers. This includes members and veterans of the armed forces, to support a robust outreach about careers in the aviation maintenance industry, or to otherwise enhance or expand the aviation maintenance technical workforce. There have been some changes to the 2024 Reauthorization Act, and one that is that it creates a new manufacturing grant program. However, this program has not been appropriated yet, so therefore we will only be focusing on the pilot and the maintenance technical workers program. There have been $20 million authorized to the pilots, maintenance, and manufacturing, each for the fiscal year 2025 through 2028. The award ceiling increased from $500K up to $1 million. It prioritizes underrepresented workforce populations that support rural and regional airports' workforce needs and strengthens aviation programs and minority servicing institutions. Up to 2% of the funding can be used to provide technical assistance to eligible applicants. So, what do you need to know about your grant submission? One, this grant is a discretionary grant. That means the FAA has the discretion of the amounts that we will award, when it will be distributed, and the timeline. It is a reimbursement payment grant. Therefore, people who apply and are awarded will first submit invoices, paid invoices to the FAA, and will be reimbursed on the back end. The NOFO, which shall be released today, January 6th, will be released with a 30-day open application period. That means that the application will open today and will close on February 5th. The maximum grant award is up to $1 million per grant. The period of performance will be for 24 months, 2 years. There's no cost match required. However, it does not hurt you to show that you have support and are able to sustain your program. There will be $20 million to each program from fiscal year 2025 through 28, and partnerships are encouraged, but sub-recipients are prohibited. Things to know in order to get started. You must first have a unique entity identifier, also known as a UEI number. Think of it as the social security number of your organization. Your UEI is required to start a grants.gov registration, which is where all the grants are located on grants.gov. The identifier is used for tracking purposes and to validate the entity in itself. You can get your UEI number from sam.gov, which is a free government site. And in order, again, to get your UEI number, you must first have an active sam.gov account. Sam.gov is the official free-to-use website for federal financial assistance. So any federal grant that you would be applying for, you must first have a sam.gov account. Again, it is free and you must register. And so I encourage everyone to get started as soon as possible, because the registration for your sam.gov account and your UEI number are not instant. So it does take some time to get, and we will not allow your non-registration to extend time for you to apply for the grant. So in your grant package, there will be several standard forms and several required and recommended forms. All the standard forms include your SF-420 form, which is your basic application for federal assistance, a project narrative, a budget form, a budget justification, your assurances, a project abstract, which you should know when you write your abstract, this is what the public will see. So be mindful when you write your abstract summary of your program. You have your project performance site location form, your key contacts, and your lobbying form. Also, it is required that you submit proof of eligibility, which can be your accreditation and certification forms. A letter of commitment is optional, and an indirect cost rate agreement is optional as well. And this slide just goes through what some of the application materials look like. This is an example of the SF-424, which is the Federal Assistance Form application. You have your assurances for non-construction programs, your project abstract summary, your project performance site, your key contact standard form, and your lobbying form. This is an example of the SF-424A, which is the budget form. If you would notice in column E, it is the amount that you are requesting from the federal government, and line or column F is the non-federal. This is where if you have matched, that you would notify us of the amount of money that is going to be contributed to this project. I also want to show you some of the proof of eligibility sample documents. So here we have the pilot certifications. You can be a flight school that provides flight training, that is Part 61, or a pilot school under Part 141, and we will verify that the certificate is active and when it expires. So your certificate, again, must be active and must not be expired at the time of application. Again, for the maintenance certification under Part 21, 121, 135, 145, or 147, this is, again, an example of what an aircraft maintenance certification would look like. It must be active at the time of application. So it's important to note that you cannot just be in the process of applying for a certificate. You must be in possession of a certificate. As a accredited university or higher ed, you would be able to show one of your accreditation documents, and it must be on letterhead showing that you are an accredited institution. School systems can apply on behalf of the school within their district. If they do, all points of contacts from the school should be listed. However, the POCs from the school district are the authorized officials. If you are a 501c3, you must provide your IRS determination letter. Please make sure that, because we on our end are going to make sure that we validate that the entity applying is the entity that is listed on the IRS determination letter. So from what I have just said, you should know that one, you should be getting your documents in order. If you don't already have a UEI number, apply for one along with your grants.gov and SAM.gov account. Apply early. Applicants are encouraged to register as soon as possible because it is not an instant thing to get your UEI and SAM.gov accounts. And stay in the loop. Again, the application will be posting today, but if you are not already signed up for AWD notifications, you can do that on the AWD website and the grant.gov website, where you will be notified when the opportunity actually posts to the website. So, your path to success. We have already awarded 3 rounds of the Aviation Workforce Development grants, and that has been in the amount of $33.5 million to 86 recipients. And we can't wait to award more money and to see the great work that eligible entities are going to do with this round of funding. So, I want to tell you exactly about how the process goes. There is initial screening, which is where after all the proposals have been submitted, the grants compliance team will do an initial screening where they go over making sure that all the required documents have been submitted, that you have your proof of eligibility, that you have an active SAM.gov account, and that you haven't been debarred or suspended. Next, there's a technical evaluation review in which we go over the merit criteria and each application is rated. After that step is completed, all those who pass that round will then go into a risk assessment review where we go through the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. We check your SAM.gov account to make sure that you have an active registration, key personnel, your entity past performance, and that you don't have an excessive amount of unallowable expenses. We then make the award decision based upon equitable geographical spread, equitable distribution among eligible entities, a return on investment, and other review considerations, as this is a discretionary grant. So there are other award selection considerations that need to be taken into consideration. We want to make sure that projects support the policy objectives of any applicable executive orders. The project serves a qualified opportunity zone, which is an economically distressed community. The project promises to use grant funds to help underrepresented groups to join the aviation industry, and the distribution of awarded projects are across the U.S. and its territories. It's also important to us that projects align with the rural opportunities to use transportation for economic success initiative. We have had plenty of success stories, but we love to highlight Florida State College at Jacksonville, who is a college that has partnered with 11 high schools, hosted numerous field trips, impacted over 80 students, and provided flight simulator experience to 75 young girls at Girls in Aviation Day events. We also like to highlight, in terms of maintenance, the Iowa Western Community College, which has created a new lab equipment to replace old outdated equipment that enhances the learning experience for students in their program. They have increased their outreach efforts to double their enrollment, and faculty work with the English and math department to review and enhance their aptitude tests. They've implemented tuition testing fees as pay for A&P testing. So kudos to those 2 schools who are rocking out their funding in the AWD program. It's also important as you are going through this process that you find your edge and be competitive, because this is a competitive grant program. So after you have gone through all the selection framework, you find your edge to be competitive within your project narrative, the application criteria, and your budget narrative. The project narrative must identify specific tasks, measurable milestones, and performance outcomes resulting from the proposed project activities. Your project narrative must include the following information. You only have 10 pages, so it's important to be as detailed and concise as possible. And in this 10 pages, you must address the 4 criteria listed. 1, the project plan. This is the extent to which the applicant has demonstrated a clear and achievable plan to carry out the proposed project. 2, your applicant resources and capabilities. We want to know what you have at your disposal and how well you can execute the project plan that you have set forth. 3, your project impact. How many people are you going to impact? What is going to be the impact of your project on the aviation industry? And number 4, your project administration and monitoring. This is where we want to see and have proof that you are able to execute your project the way that you have detailed it in your project plan. How you are going to collect your data and assess the impact of your project is also going to be detailed in this section. And so here we have provided a sample project narrative and highlighted what makes these stand out. One, if you can see in this project, they have said that they are going to address veteran women, that their project will impact 5,000 women and students, that it will cost anywhere from $200 to $400 per year per student, and that they are targeting women in economically disadvantaged geographic areas in the state of Maryland, and that they're going to be awarding scholarship and apprenticeship opportunities. So again, please be as detailed yet concise as possible. The next part of your application that is very important is your budget narrative. Each application must contain a detailed project budget, and you only get 2 pages to detail your budget narrative. You must describe by line item all proposed expenditures, including identifying any other existing or anticipated financial resources or unmet funding needs beyond the FAA request. Again, you only have 2 pages to detail your budget narrative. In your budget narrative, you're going to break down your personnel services, your fringe benefits, travel, equipment, supplies, contractual, and this is just an example of how detailed your budget narrative should be. We want to know that the project coordinator is responsible for all necessary project coordination, and that they will commit 100% of their time at a salary of $25,000 in the first year, and the salary will escalate by 2% for the second year, and that the total request for personnel is $37,750. This is as detailed as we want you to be within your 2-page limit. So it's important to note that there have been some changes in 2 CFR 200. That is that the single audit threshold increased from 750 million to 750,000 to 1 million, that the equipment threshold raised from 5K to 10K, and that is per item. The diminished indirect cost rate increased from 10% to 15%. So if you do not have an indirect cost policy, you are able to use the 15% diminished rate and closeout costs. So you've won. Now what? In order to prepare for execution, you must have clear roles and responsibilities, establish your partnerships, and attend the kickoff meeting where we will go down exactly what we expect from you, what you can expect from the grants management team to help you ensure success on your project. Some things that we have encountered and noticed that projects are encountering is supply chain issues. And so it's important that while you are starting your projects or doing your proposals, that you take into account where you will get your materials from and the timeline for getting them so that you can stay within your 2-year period of performance. If there is a change in leadership, how does that work? What happens? If there's a change in partnership, how does that impact your project? And what steps need to be taken to get that back on track? If there is a change in scope, or if you need a revision in your budget. I want to thank you for the time that you have taken to listen to this webinar. Please apply early and get your UEI number, your grants.gov, and your SAM.gov accounts in order. And we look forward to reading your applications.